exclusively. 77 WABC.
Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC. Let's get right to it. We got a stellar, big time, a heavy hitter on the line with us right now. He is the author of the brand new book. It's now a New York Times bestseller, and it is fantastic. I read it twice. Killing the Rising Sun, How America Vanquished World War II Japan. It's Bill O'Reilly on the line with us from his chopper as he comes in from Long Island. Bill, can you hear us?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in.
Hey, listen, Bill, the book is absolutely such a great read. Just such a, I hate to say it about such a horrendous event, which is the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima, but it's a fun read. I mean, it's
entertaining in the sense that you want to keep turning the pages, see what happens next. And that's the formula that we put together with all 6 killing books, that we teach you a lot. There's a lot of factual information, but it's fun to read.
And I'd like to ask you a couple more questions about it. But if you don't mind, Bill, as I sit here with my partner, Sid Rosenberg, I'd like to get into a little political conversation with you right now.
Sure.
Now, listen. Yesterday, of course, Donald Trump had what I thought was a stellar performance at the second debate Sunday night.
Could you stop right there and ask Bill what he thinks so? Because Bernard thought he had a stellar performance. I think that is a gross exaggeration. I thought he did what he had to do to stop the bleeding. He was certainly much better than he was the first time, but to call it stellar, I think, is a gross exaggeration. What did you think?
Well, I'm going to forego the adjectives and just say that Trump actually kept himself in the race. So that was an achievement. I think that's a fair assessment. It was an achievement because he was reeling, and Hillary Clinton could have knocked him out, but did not. So that by that standard, you'd have to say that the performance, he won. He won the debate, which is what I said last night on The Factor, because he lives to fight another day. And that's what it is for Trump. He can't win. If the election were held this week, he would lose. All right? Everybody knows that.
Right.
Except Trump. But everybody else knows that he'd lose. The election was held this week. But Hillary Clinton has 2 things going against her. Number one, her support is thin. So people really don't like her. If Hillary Clinton is elected president, she will be the most unpopular president-elect in history. Nobody has ever been more unpopular personally than she in our nation's voting ever.
Highest untrustworthy.
You can say the same for both of them.
So she's limping to the finish line. Right. And the second thing is that with this WikiLeaks hacking business, you just don't know if there's anything else, as you don't know with Trump on the crazy stuff that he said in the past. Don't know in the next 4 weeks what's going to come out. So that Trump, he saved himself in the debate, and that was a significant win for him.
So on your show, Bill, the brilliant Charles Krauthammer predicted while we're on the debate that Donald Trump would go nuclear with the Bill Clinton stuff and the Hillary, smearing Bill Clinton's victims and all of that stuff. And he ended up bringing in a bunch of women who were victimized allegedly by Bill Clinton. What'd you think of that move? Do you think that was effective and that helped him rattle Hillary during the debate?
I don't think it rattled Hillary Clinton, but it deflects some of the intense criticism away from Trump. So that's what that did. He uses these women as a shield to say, okay, I did this tawdry stuff, yeah, but look at this. Now, the American voter, is that going to sway their vote one way or the other? No. But Trump needed us to shield. He needed a shield to stop the incoming, and that's why he used those women.
Bill, I feel like for 2 months now, the Trump supporters are counting on what you just spoke about. Maybe there's something else in WikiLeaks. Maybe there's something out there. Left to his own devices, Bill, which is to go at the issues with Hillary or any substance. He can't win. He didn't win Sunday either, in my estimation. So it seems like Trump supporters are hoping and praying and wishing there's something really salacious out there that's going to knock Hillary out of the race. That is not exactly a confident approach with 28 days to go. Wouldn't you agree?
It would be if Trump was a stronger candidate. But because he's not, you're right in the sense that he can't win by demonizing Hillary anymore. She's already demonized to the extent that people have decided. There's not a lot of people that are on the fence about Hillary Clinton. But in order to remain competitive, and after the polls come out, I think this week you'll see them on Thursday. I predicted last night on the Factor that Trump will be down by 6. Now that's a big deficit in 4 weeks to make up, but it's not impossible. So you got to understand that Trump had the only chance he has is to stay in the race and basically say to the American people, if you elect her, she's going to take this country in a direction that's going to adversely affect you. And that's the theme. It's not like I have a better vision about Syria or I have a better vision on the economy. You know, people, I don't know if they pay attention so much to that. But he's going to say she's going to hurt you. Your whole life is going to be upside down because she's going to put in activist judges on the Supreme Court. That's mean we're going to have a crazy progressive society. She's going to sell you out. The economy is going to go down a drain. So it's fear. And you know, he's got 4 weeks to invoke fear. So I have him on tonight. This is the first interview he's doing after the debate. He's coming on the Factor tonight.
Wow.
And I think that you're going to see that tactic. He's going to pivot away from himself, what he's going to do, into she's going to kill the country. So she's dangerous to you. That's what I think you're going to see.
So we have Big Bad Bill O'Reilly on the line with us here on the Bernie and Sid Show, the author of the book Killing the Rising Sun, How America Vanquished World War II Japan, a fantastic book, and also a movie coming out Sunday night based on another book that Bill wrote, Killing Reagan, on Nat Geo, 8 p.m. Sunday night. So, Bill, back to my original question, where I was going, which was that the morning after Trump's, let's say, successful performance at the second debate, Paul Ryan pulls this stunt where he has this conference call and he sort of steals Trump's thunder, pulling the rug out from under his victory from the night before, what I perceived as a victory. Do you think Paul Ryan and these guys, do you think they actually want Trump to lose?
No, I don't think they want him to lose, but I think that they believe he will lose. So the calculation is built on the Republican hierarchy pretty much says he's going to lose. So now we have to limit the damage. Ryan doesn't want to lose the House. So therefore he's saying, look, you guys have to do what's best for you. Forget about the top of the ticket, because Ryan thinks Trump's going to get trumped.
Well, I mean, whatever happened to fighting for you? I mean, the chips are down.
That you can't fight. You can't fight, all right, if you don't have any ammo. And a lot of people have come to the conclusion that after this tape, American women are so disgusted that he can't win. So they're out of ammo. And that's the calculation.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's obvious, too, that he doesn't want him to lose because a couple of weeks ago, when, in fact, Bill and Bernard, Trump evened this thing up, maybe even took a slight lead, Ryan was okay with Trump, and only after this tape was released, and it's obvious he's not going to win, has Paul Ryan again jumped off. So when things are going well for Trump, Paul is okay with it. Now he feels like it's desperation time. I got to get away.
Yeah, but nobody really cares about Ryan. I mean, he'll hurt Trump in Wisconsin, which was in play for a little while, but isn't anymore. And that's the thing. I mean, if you look at the Electoral College map, it's impossible for Trump to win Wisconsin and Michigan now, and almost impossible for Pennsylvania. So when people say, well, he's going to make a comeback, unless there's something on Hillary Clinton's side, which there could be. All right, so that's the thing. They're all saying, okay, the next bomb is going to be against her. And if that bomb comes, then Trump could win.
That's the only way. But I want to ask you something we just asked Peter King moments ago, Bill, and that is, I think Trump is going to lose. Okay, he'll go back and he'll do TV, he'll build buildings, he'll be fine. But he's leaving the GOP in shambles in the midst of a civil war. Paul Ryan's running away from it. So with 2020 4 years away, Bill, how much damage do you think Trump will end up doing to the GOP? Is there a future for the GOP?
Well, it all has to do with the economy. So if Hillary Clinton wins and she comes in and the economy continues its slow growth, then it doesn't really matter because people will say enough with the Democrats. And then the Republican, you'll see this resurgence. But they have to have, a charismatic candidate. They have to come up with some new people to run. And that was a problem. That Trump never should have won the nomination. He did it on chutzpah and he did it on showbiz because the others were so, mediocre. I guess that's the best word.
And plus, they were insiders. He's the outside guy, and that's what people wanted.
But if they had any charisma at all, they could have parried him.
Yes.
But none of them did.
None.
I mean, Marco Rubio, I thought he would. But he's sweating up there and repeating himself. And, I'm going, wait a minute. You got to be able to handle yourself, and none of them could.
They were exposed. There was this, a bunch of great governors and senators, and he vanquished 16 great people. And you're exactly right, Bill O'Reilly. They were exposed as mediocre candidates. In this setting, in fact, they were lousy.
Yeah. And so that's what the Republican Party needs more than anything else is a Ronald Reagan. When you watch the movie Killing Reagan on Sunday night, I'll give you a little plug, it's on the National Geographic channel at 8 o'clock. You'll see Tim Matheson, the actor who plays Reagan. You'll see how much charisma that Reagan had, personal charisma, and how he was able to convince people who didn't even like the Republican Party to vote for him and to like him and to support him. You don't have that on the Republican side, and you don't have it on the Democratic side either, although Bernie Sanders brought a little of that. But Bernie's so crazy that he couldn't, he'll never get elected. But he brought a little bit of that charisma in, and that's what the Republican Party needs if they want to come back, a charismatic leader.
Bill O'Reilly on with Bernie and said one more question before we get to the book. Bill, at the debate the other night, Donald Trump got off a great line. Really had the audience laughing, and I'm going to play it and ask you for your reaction. The way the media spun it afterwards. Listen to the exchange right here.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Now, the media could not stand the fact that he got off a Lloyd Benson-like, almost Ronald Reagan-like line at that point. So they did their best to pick it apart and compare him to Hitler and Stalin and Banana Republic dictators. So the media, again, playing a big part in an election, trouncing a Republican. And I know you have some thoughts about that yourself.
Well, Krauthammer and I debated that last night. It was one of the best debates that we've had on a factor in months. Now, Krauthammer took that side that it was unseemly for Trump to say that, and I took the side that, hold it, millions of Americans believe that this FBI investigation was bogus, and that the director of the FBI, Comey, who I once respected, succumbed to political pressure, perhaps as high as the White House. We can't have that in this country. So I wasn't offended by Trump saying that. I mean, he always goes over, I'll put you in jail. He can't put anybody in jail. But he can certainly open an investigation to see if there was any corruption into it. So that's what it was all about. Now, the reason the press got hysterical is because the press hates Trump. It's not a matter of that they're supporting... we all know they're liberal. 80% of the national press is liberal. Everybody knows that. But it's not this time around a matter of, we want liberal people in there. They hate Trump personally. They hate him. They think that he's a vulgarian, a barbarian, that he's an intellectual deficient, and they're just appalled that he's even in this position. So it's a whole different ballgame. So anything that he says authoritarian, they're going to say, he's Hitler, he's Stalin. Let me break it to you gently. Hitler and Stalin didn't put political opponents in jail. They killed them.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it was much quicker the other way. So when I see this crazy stuff, I just roll my eyes. It's so phony.
Well, to even move this more forward, Bill, before we get to the great book, Killing the Rising Sun, the Washington Post did a big story yesterday that you've got some names. There's no audio here. There's no smoking gun other than the people that you know in the business, that you've got some names of people that were told by major networks, if in fact they are somewhat nice to Donald Trump, they run the risk of getting fired. Is that true?
Yes.
Will you give us one name right now?
Come on.
No.
If I give you the initials, will you say yes or no?
I'm not going to do it. I will tell you that I know personally of 3 media organizations that have leadership people, who have made it quite clear that anyone working in these organizations who would support Donald Trump are not welcome to continue working there.
Wow.
And this comes from people who work there.
Wow. Oh, that's a big deal.
But it's not right for me because these people won't come on and say it, and I don't use anonymous sources. So it's not right for me. It would be morally wrong for me to say this company, this company, this company.
Yeah.
When
New York
I'm getting
Times.
it from a person who's not willing to say it with their face. And I understand why they're not, because they get fired. I got it. But I can't do that as an honest journalist. I can't assassinate a person or a company unless I have a primary source willing to step up.
Bill, one more thing about the show. We laughed hard last week. We really did. This is not sucking up to you or Jesse. We happen to like Jesse Waters a lot, but we laughed hard last week at his bit in Chinatown. He's getting killed for that. In fact, there was even a town hall in Chinatown yesterday. Seems like these folks are out there to try to get him fired maybe at this point. What are your thoughts on the backlash for Jesse Waters?
Well, as I told Chris Wallace on Sunday, we ran a piece, more than 5 million people saw it on the day it ran. We had less than 10 negative emails and no phone calls to FNC. None. Then all of a sudden, 36 hours later, we get this barrage, and the wording was almost exactly the same from all these left-wing websites. Almost exactly the same. Okay? So we know it was a coordinated attack. The week before, Waters had gone to the San Gennaro Festival in Little Italy and done pretty much the exact same
exactly
thing.
Right.
Having gentle fun with an ethnic crew.
Of course.
And it was gentle. I mean, come on. So if these people, they live their life in a perpetual state of grievance. That being said, I looked at the piece afterward, after this, and I would have edited it a little bit differently. And I told Waters, but nobody's perfect. But the intent of the piece was gentle fun. And so if you're going to, take it and everybody gets fired, Waters was on last night. He's not getting fired. And we're not,
You're not going to Billy Bush him.
A program that is not politically correct. But we don't want to offend anybody and we don't want to diminish anybody. So we did look at it and we did discuss it.
Nice. It's sort of analogous to the media manufactured outrage with the Redskins. They, all this ringing of heads.
We're not outraged, believe me.
And then they do a poll
if they were, we would have heard about it.
They do a poll of Native Americans, and 95% of them don't give a crap about it. It's all media, online, website manufactured nonsense. Now, the book, Bill O'Reilly, Killing the Rising Sun, How America Vanquished World War II in Japan. As you said, a very, very entertaining read. Everything from the beginning of the war to a story about the ship that took the bombs out to the Pacific, dropped the bombs off, and then was torpedoed, and the men languished in the water for days with sharks attacking them. The book is so very, very entertaining. And you told us, you told Mr. Imus why you wrote the book. Why don't you tell us, please?
Well, I wrote the book because of Reverend Wright, Obama's former preacher, who after 9/11 justified the attack on us by saying, hey, we dropped the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, so we're getting what we deserve. When I heard that, my head snapped back, and I said, someday I'm going to right that wrong. And this book rights that wrong. It details exactly what the Japanese did, and it's horrendous. It is horrendous.
Yeah, it's
on par with the Third Reich.
Absolutely.
And exactly how brave Americans were. Remember, these Marines and Navy people were 18, 19, 20 years old going into Iwo Jima and Okinawa. All right? How brave they were, what they had to overcome, and then finally, what Truman had to decide. So it's a real compelling book. It sold more than 500,000 copies in less than 4 weeks. So we're really rolling on it.
And also, in the book, you point out a couple of former presidents said that it was the right thing to do, George Herbert Walker Bush and others. But President Obama recently went to Hiroshima, and he never admitted, he never said that the bomb saved lives, almost like it was a tacit admission that we did wrong.
Almost an apology tour, really. Almost.
I don't know if you recall
that. I asked all the 5 living presidents to write me a personal letter about whether they would have dropped the bomb. 3 of them did, the 2 Bushes and Jimmy Carter. And they say they would have for various reasons you can read in the book. Obama did not write me because I don't believe he would have dropped the bomb.
Right.
I just don't believe he would have. Bill Clinton didn't write me because his wife's running for president. He didn't want a controversy. I do believe Clinton would have. So there we go.
Well, listen, Bill O'Reilly, the book is fantastic. We're Killing the Rising Sun, How America Vanquished World War II Japan. A good read, an easy read, an edifying read, and also the show Killing Reagan, Sunday night on Nat Geo, 8 p.m., movie based on the book that Bill O'Reilly read. Bill, thank you for appearing on Bernie.
Listen,
All right, guys.
Great
Thanks for
job.
having me, and I appreciate it.
Looking forward to Donald Trump tonight. Thank you, Bill.
All right, back on Bernie and Sid after this.
77 W.